Hey, how you guys doing? It's Mason, aka Sinar 2 and 2, coming at you from Generation Gamers along with my friends here.
Yo, this is Stan, aka Loyal Valor.
Hey guys, this is Heather, aka Siren717.
And Jesse, aka Nostos Algos 312.
Well, you guys, just for our listeners, Mike, aka Stinger NLG, he won't be able to join us today. He had some plans come up. But he will be joining with us next week while we get back on our news because today we have a special treat. We're just going to be doing a little shoot the shit discussion today. We're just going to talk about some old gaming experiences that we had with past games or memorable moments from old games that we used to play. So, kind of like a retro thing, you know? So. Other than that, though, I guess we'll start this off. So, I guess I'll go first. I'll start off how I met Loyal here. I met Loyal back in the old Halo 2 days. We were actually on the map, the Relic map, and me and an old friend of mine, TPC, I think it was Capture the Flag. Was it Capture the Flag, Loyal?
Yeah, it definitely was Capture the
I
Flag.
can't remember if it was Capture the Flag or Land Grab, but we were on that map, and all of a sudden, this warthog comes flying out of nowhere over the pillars, and I just hear somebody because in Halo 2, that game when you got close to the proximity of the other team's uh, teammates, you could hear them talk, and all I hear is "Not on my ship," and then like 5 rockets go flying and blow his warthog to shit, man. And I remember that's all right there and there. That's when I remember after the game, I'm like, dude, you have to join us. And unfortunately, he talked for a pirate for a week, so we really didn't hear his real voice until like after like a week.
Yeah, I can't really justify why I was talking like a pirate, but it definitely made things interesting. And
I think I do
yeah,
remember
you
that.
guys did not like after you friended me and I would join your party, like you guys were like who the hell is this guy? Because you guys did not recognize my voice at all. So that was
Oh yeah,
kind of
yeah. But I think I do remember seeing the passenger like deep like jump and dive out of that warhog when you went up that ramp to go over the
I would have done
pillar.
the same thing. I would have done the same
Like
thing.
I
A
just
captain always goes down with his ship. That's for damn sure.
I see this warthog flying over my head, and then 4 rockets from my other teammates just blow. Like he's in midair, and this warthog gets blown to shit. It was the funniest thing ever, man. Definitely funny. So, but what about you, Jesse? You got any memorable moments in games?
Yeah, in Halo 2, I was playing with my friend John, and we were on the graveyard map, and I decided to take lead. I was like, hey, John, follow me. We go into the cave that leads up into the base, and of course, there's like 3 guys, 3 enemies around the corner. We all die, and now anytime I play online with him, he always imitates my voice saying, hey, John, follow me. He never lets me live it down. We were actually playing Titanfall a couple weeks ago.
Hey,
And
John, follow me.
I said, John, follow me. He's like, we're gonna die this time. I was like, probably not. But that game,
That was just the one time.
right? That game of Titanfall, I had to record 2 instances where he totally got his shit rocked. He was trying to get to the drop ship because we lost that match, and he jumps towards like the head of the ship, so he misses the doorway and he falls down and comes back up. And right when he gets back up to the top, it's taking off. He jumps over it again, and there's 2 Titans on the ground, blow him up.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
dang.
There's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time I think I can remember my first. I don't know if it's considered a glitch. I mean, I guess you could say it's kind of legit. It was for Mario Brothers and the infinite health glitch with the green turtleback. Do you guys remember that one?
Oh, actually,
Is that where you just keep jumping up on the turtle shell
Yep.
and then you, sooner or later just get one ups?
Yep. I remember I didn't know about it until my neighbor. I was at his house and we were both playing. He goes, "Hey, yeah." He's like, the one up glitch. I'm like, one up glitch. I'm like, what are you talking about? And it's right at the very end, and it's when that green turtle's walking down, and as you boop, boop, hit him, and then like it's weird. I can't even do it now, but it's like when the shell gets ricocheted off the wall and comes back, you
you're
just
right at the right moment.
you're constantly bouncing it back and
Infinite.
forth, and then it's like ba-ding, 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 ba-ding.
Oh my
It takes skill.
Yes, it does, definitely. So, but
It takes skill.
That was my first glitch. So, do you remember what was it? Didn't you have a glitch in one of your uh, Animal Crossing games with the golden shovel?
No, I don't think there was anything on the goal show. I don't think I've ever really discovered any glitches. By the time I was really big into games, all the glitches had been discovered, so everyone just kind of knew everything.
Or had to use Game Shark?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Game Shark.
I remember
No way.
I was playing Super Mario 64, and I was using the Game Shark, and I put like dozens upon dozens of codes in there. There was some to like make Mario look like he's smoking, one turned him into an ostrich, a bunch of different shit. And with all these combined, it turned him green, and he was lying on his back halfway into the geometry from where you start off. So, needless to say, none of them worked.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I only think I used the Game Shark for like Animal Crossing just to pay off my houses, so I was like a landowner. That was about it. Or
Gotta pay my taxes.
Yeah.
My land.
First glitch that I exploited was one that I found out from some cheating website or whatever.
Game Winners
But,
or Cheat Code Central?
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Cheat Code Central
Yeah.
for Pokemon. So you have like the sixth item in your item slot, just like becomes
Yes.
infinite. You
Oh,
get like
yeah.
Yeah, like the rare candy glitch,
Yeah.
and you face unknown. You gotta talk to that one guy in like the second town when you first start out from Pallet Town, and then you gotta fly to Cinnabar Island or whatever and surf up and down the coast
Yep.
until you meet a glitch called Unknown.
Yep.
And if you actually, I believe, capture him, then it just messes everything up as far as when you beat the game. You like the Pokemon that you beat, the last few people, and I forget what it's called, past Victory Road and all that stuff.
Her name, the
But yeah,
Elite Four.
Elite Four.
it messes up your list of Pokemon that it says like you beat the game with. So I beat the game with like a level 4 Diglett, and it's like all kinds of other different Pokemon that I didn't even have with me at the time, or they weren't even the proper level. Like it just messes that kind of stuff up. But
Wow.
but yeah, definitely get all those rare candies, and you can have just the baddest Pokemon.
Yeah, I did that, and as long as you have that in your team or whatever, it messes up the icon for the rest of them. But I use the rare candies, and I know it turns one of your Pokemon in a particular slot to like level 99, and I think for me that was a Blastoise. And as soon as I gave him one more rare candy, he went down to 0. But
Really?
he's still like super strong.
I did not know it could like double back around,
Yeah,
and
I think it's only if missing numbers in there. Otherwise, I think the Pokemon might die or something like that.
I remember, actually, speaking of Pokemon, I had I never had a Game Boy, so I remember I was always watching my friends play Pokemon,
Here.
and just recently, I think it was like the summer, it was not last summer, but the summer before, I downloaded an emulator, and I downloaded Pokemon Yellow, and talk about cheats all over, man. I had a cheat code that automatically had Mew level 100 or 50 or whatever maxed out, and like seriously, I went halfway through the game until I got to Snorlax, and I was lost. I did not know how to get him to get his fat ass out of the trail. Like they said, you need to get a flute, but to get the flute, you had to go on the boat or something like that. And when I was going to the boat was sailing off. I'm like, bro, where are you going? And I gave up.
yeah, you play that wrong.
Went back to play it, and it's just unless I start off with the bike at the very beginning, I get bored. He's moving too slow.
I definitely used the code to get the bike because you're right, it's definitely moving slow.
In the later games, I believe they actually made like a sprint button. You can actually run places instead of having just to walk everywhere.
I remember I was reading this comment. This is on Pokemon. I was reading this comment or article about like what is the weakest Pokemon, and someone had a picture of Psyduck, and something else, like some other different Pokemon I've ever seen, and one guy commented saying, if it's not Generation 1, I have no idea what it is, and that's how I am. I mean, literally,
Exactly.
I knew a Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Now the Pokemon, I'm like, when people are talking, I'm like, yo, Charizard level 50 or 100, and they look at me like I'm like, who?
Noob.
No, bro, Charizard. What about Bulbasaur? Like, aren't they still ballers? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, you talk to kids nowadays, they don't even know the first original 150. It's kind of sad, really.
I literally can't believe how Pokemon has taken off. I mean, here's what will make us feel old. Well, no offense, Jesse, he's already a couple years senior to us, but for me, Heather, and Loyal, we were in 5th grade when Pokemon came
Oh,
out.
it's disgusting.
5th grade when Pokemon first came out. Can you believe that?
Yeah, for me, when I first started playing, I was in 7th grade.
Yeah, you know, 7th.
I remember I had 2 Game Boys. I had like the transparent pocket one and then a colored one. And I remember driving home on the bus, going home, trying to trade Pokemon between red and blue.
with the link
Yeah,
cable.
that link cable. And
There's no Wi-Fi back then, you guys.
Oh yeah. For all you young listeners, there's no Wi-Fi. We had to use a link cable.
I had to do it as quickly as I could because the batteries on one of them were dying and I didn't have any other double A's on me.
Oh my gosh, like the original, gray brick Game Boy,
Yeah.
the one that you needed the light to, the light and the
Yeah.
magnifier.
Yeah.
Like that was a battery destroyer. Like that's how you could tell that thing was old.
Dude,
because
that
you needed
magnifier?
4 AA. You needed 4 AA batteries to
Yep.
run that thing.
4 AA battery. That's a monster, man.
Yeah, I had one for the Game Boy Color. Magnified it, had speakers that flipped out.
What?
Reminded me of a picture I saw on the internet. It had all that stuff on there and more. And I said, are you kidding? This isn't even my final form yet.
Dang, you guys remember when they came out with the Game Boy Micro?
I think
No.
so.
They,
I don't
you don't remember that?
I just
Yeah,
remember the
it was
Game Boy
like
Color
that
in the
big.
pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Game Boy. They announced it at E3 for, I think it was only for like a limited time, like a limited quantity. And I remember it only played Game Boy Advance games. It didn't play like
Yeah, I remember
like the
that.
big cartridges or anything like
See,
that.
I had a Game Boy Pocket, which I was super stoked. I just got it for something, I don't know what holiday. And then, like, not even a month later, the Game Boy Color came out, and I was like, wrecked. Everyone had it, and I was like, oh my god, it was devastating.
Honestly,
I have a similar experience to that. Like I went to Target to go pick up a Game Boy Pocket. It was the see-through one. You can see all the inner workings and stuff. And I was lucky. It was lucky because an old lady, I heard the story, like an old lady was supposed to pick it up and she never came. And I got the last one in the entire store. I was like, sweet. And then a week or 2 later, my best friend gets a Game Boy Color and he's playing Pokemon in color. I'm like,
oh,
It's horrible. You can't play it again. You just threw it away.
Yeah.
Done.
dang.
I'm like, whatever. I don't care. Mine's see-through. I don't give a shit.
I remember when the SP came out though. That honestly, other than the DS, just the Game Boy series, man, the SP was probably the best.
Yeah,
one,
that
man.
was cool.
Sometimes I think about now, I'm like, I just want to get that just to play like Metroid Fusion and
Well,
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Loyal,
Just
didn't you
flip
say
over.
that one time? You
I
like,
still,
just give me an SP and I'm set.
yeah, I still have my SP, and I've actually, lately I've been watching Pokemon on Netflix while playing the game. Only one gets my full attention, of course, because it's harder than it sounds just to watch Pokemon and play at the same time. Yeah, all you really need is a backlit screen so you can play in the dark. So I don't gotta lean into the light, trying to squint my eyes and.
Now, did all SPs have the backlight, or was the later models the ones that came with the backlight?
I thought all SPs had.
I think, yeah, SP was like the first one to have a backlight. It
Oh,
was the first Game Boy to have a backlight, I believe.
oh, okay, I didn't know that. I thought later models had it. And then after the SP, it was the. Well, the
DS
SP was pretty
something,
much the Advance, right? Just what did I
Yeah,
say?
No, the Advance came before the SP.
Then
Right.
the SP.
Yep.
And then after that, then we had the DS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Did you? I never had a DS. Heather does. She never plays it.
I have a 3DS.
Same, yeah. I remember when the DS first came out. There's a guy in my school who bought 2 of them.
What?
And of course, it was like, whoa, why do you have 2 of them? Like he brought them to school. Like he was playing.
Dual wielding.
He had quadruple wielding 4 screens.
He's got bug eyes.
And I remember we were in class, and he had one just sitting next to him, and then he was playing the other one. I'm like, so what's the other one for? He's like, I just bought it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Hardcore.
So you had no real reason. You just had some extra cash lying around.
Yep. And hey,
Decided
what's
not to.
it? And of course, just go ahead and buy that, So then after the DS, then we had the DSi. The white one. We were working at GameStop when the I came out.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember before I started working at GameStop, I had the old SP, and I remember going to work one day, and I stopped by GameStop real quick, traded in that one just to get the new one so I could play it while I was on my lunch.
Oh man, I don't know if I was there for that one yet. Maybe I was. I don't think I was, because I think it showed up right when you were about to leave GameStop.
Yeah.
But I remember that DSi. It was white, wasn't it?
Yep.
That they didn't have black. It was just strictly white.
Yeah.
That was a major seller right there.
Oh yeah.
When the DSi came. No wait, not the DSi. The DS Lite.
Yeah,
That's what it was called. So let's do pop quiz. Let's see if we can name all of them. So there was the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, or then no wait, Game Boy,
No, Pocket.
Game Boy Pocket,
then Game Boy
Color,
Game Boy Advance, Game Boy
SP,
SP,
then Micro, which was just a limited time only,
right?
I don't know about that.
and then the DS Lite.
Lite.
That's the one. The DS Lite had the brighter screen,
Right.
and then the DSi XL.
Oh, jeez.
I think it was ginormous. And then they had
Was that the 3DS?
The 3DS.
you have 3DS,
And then 2DS.
Yeah, the piece of
3DS
cake.
XL,
XL,
and
and
then the
then
2DS,
now
which are
2DS.
kind of reverting back because it's all front facing again.
Yeah. But and also they got the 2DS. They got rid of the 3D capability. I'm so close to buying one of those.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I am seriously because they're only 3DSs are still 170. 2DSs, which can still play 2DS and 3DS games, because I don't care for the 3D, is only 120.
He's been spitting this for like 3 months.
Can't you turn off the 3D?
Yeah.
You can.
You can, but then why am I paying 170 if I'm going to turn off anyways? I'm
For
like,
the capability.
Right. And it closes.
so I'm not taking it nowhere.
Yeah.
Wait, it's portable. It's
right.
Just because it looks like a slice of pie or cake, the cake is a lie. So, but other than that though, so let's revert back to one of my old favorite games, which we're actually doing our game reviews on, Resident Evil.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm telling you, scary games these days, other than Outlast, which is still making me shit my pants, and I still haven't got too far on there. And even old games like Silent Hill has lost, like that game's lost its flavor. I mean, playing Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, 4 I would say 4 The Room was pretty scary, but those games were terrifying, especially like with Resident Evil 1, 2, and
Scarifying.
yeah.
I like
Yeah,
scarifying.
scarifying.
Shit was scarifying.
That's a new word.
And so, I mean, for these listeners, if you've never played it, I'm telling you, Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, especially 2, which is my favorite one out of all of them, that game literally put the fear through your body.
Yeah, like when you first saw the cinematics for your first zombie when he turns and looks at you, I was playing with my dad in a dark basement. This was like our first console, like major one we had, and we were like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
and we were like,
bit his head?
yeah, and I'm like, dude, this is great ever since.
I would always watch my friends play Resident Evil. I was never into I mean, it defined itself, like that's Resident Evil and that's what it's all about, zombies and stuff. But I think they really perfected it 4 and up, because I never liked the camera angles. I never liked how you couldn't see your threat.
That's what made it
The
scary.
character is looking at them, but you couldn't ever see them.
They did perfect, that camera angle for people to. They added that that angle there to like the action part. But with 4, they did a good job, even though it was like a completely different step from that direction. But there was some creepy parts in 4, and it just added a whole new level of gameplay. Now, where with 5, it wasn't scary, and neither is 6. I mean, literally, it is in 6. It is all action in those games, and
I like the maneuverability or all the control you have over the character in 6 versus 4, but I think 4 is more. I think it's spookier and. Yeah, you can see your threats.
It is a lot spookier. I know did you ever see the original beta gameplay of what Resident Evil 4 was originally supposed to look like?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The one with that ghost guy and the fish hook?
Yeah.
Now, I remember when I first saw that, I was in, I think, 11th grade when it first came out, and when they showed the gameplay, I was like, holy crap, and it was just like that apparition of a man following you with like a huge chain attached as a ginormous like fish hook, and he would like chase you throughout the building and everything. That was pretty scary. And then I remember when they first announced it, that was just like one of the first versions of it. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't look like the final cut, that's for sure.
No, it
Yeah.
did not, definitely. So, but no, like that's a game where I think that's something that I hope they revert back to, my opinion. I mean, I want them to revert back to that scariness. And I know there was rumors, talk with going back to that core, making Resident Evil the series a separate, like making one set of games strictly horror and another set of games strictly action.
Like for 6, like the Leon's campaign was actually pretty scary, kind of spooky-ish, but then everything else was like action-packed.
There was some spooky, and adding the whole tuck and roll and jump. I found myself like crawling backwards on the ground shooting.
I
was like,
liked it. I
I'm like,
picked it up
whoa, like what's
fine,
going
like-
on? And then
I like the option to crawl on your back up the stairs.
So,
Yeah.
but like I said, and they tell you what, when the GameCube came out, they did a really, really good job with the remake of Resident Evil 1, along with Resident Evil 0, which was a prequel that showed the beginning of all the how the virus got created and everything like that. And that was scary. I can't even play that. I started that on the GameCube a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I'm
What's
yeah,
that?
I'll play this later on because it's actually pretty scary. So, but it does get intense. But
You think doing laundry is scary?
my laundry, it is scary.
Yeah.
That's why Heather does not let me touch her laundry.
Just go in the dryer, sure. Oh my god.
But no, other than that, though, I said that was my 2 take on the Resident Evil. Like I said, for our listeners, we got our second one, Resident Evil 2. That'll be here, I think, in a couple weeks. So that'd be definitely something pretty cool to look at. So what about like one thing that you guys missed from old games to now? Like, what's one thing that you think that is really missing from it?
That's a hard one.
I don't know. I think there are a lot of sequels being made, you know? Like, I really liked the original GoldenEye on the N64. That's what first got me into first-person shooters.
Oh yeah,
I was over my friend's house for a sleepover. He had, like, a birthday party or whatever, sleepover. And I was like, what the hell is this? N64? Like, you know, like, all I had at that time was a Sega Saturn with like a bunch of demo discs. So I didn't have any full games at that point. So I went over to his house. We were playing GoldenEye, and I was like, this game is the shit. I gotta get it.
No,
And
if anyone ever chose Odd Job, you're cheating ass.
it's so short.
Well, that's what was the problem. Like you did, if he ran up to you, you would have to use the cursor. You'd have to hold Z. I think it was. Was that an N64 controller? Was that
Yeah.
that was Z?
Yeah, the center trigger one was the Z button.
Yeah, you had Z and then aim down, and you're already dead by then with the P90.
Oh yeah, that is my favorite controller possibly is the N64. It was so wonky looking. It was so weird compared to nowadays.
Have you ever tried to hold one lately?
No. I
put it
don't
in-
have my N64.
You feel like your hands are like this, like they're crimped up because it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like this. You're like, oh, how did I play like this?
But none of the other games really, you don't hold the controller, the N64 controller, like you do, you know, the ones nowadays. You never have it like this. You always hold it kind of different. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
Like,
I can't.
Little cockeyed. You're never holding, parallel side by
Right,
side.
right.
It's a little bit lower on the
You're never holding the D-pad side of it. You're always with the joystick, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for fighting games. Surprisingly, fighting games. I always use the D-pad, even for Dead or Alive.
Yeah, I use a D-pad,
Yeah.
but I mean, those had sharp corners on them.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
did.
Your thumb's gonna get raw.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, now what were you saying about GoldenEye?
Oh, like I was yeah, like there's no original content, you know, like they make a whole bunch of sequels to what people like about them, but then they always play them out or they don't, you know, reiterate it right in the next installment, and then it winds up messing up, you know, what they had going for it, you know.
Yeah, they don't try anything new. I agree.
Right.
There's a lot of companies that are afraid to try something new, other than, like Titanfall. I mean, that's a new game that introduced something fairly new, mostly the same though. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, what thing do you miss from games? Like from Mario Brothers to now, or even like games like Contra or even Street Fighter.
I miss like maybe the addiction factor. Games nowadays, I really do get into a lot of them, especially like Elder Scrolls. I know that's coming out. I'll be sunk into that, but like Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing, like you played that for hours, and I kind of miss the feeling of just gaming for that long. Nowadays, like even Titanfall is fun, but you're not gonna play that for 6, 8 hours. Well, you might, but I mean,
Right.
It's the attraction of the game that allows
It's
you
not the same.
into it for
yeah,
hours.
yeah. It totally sucks you in, and you would be like, oh my god, I haven't slept. It's like 4 a.m. So I
But it was totally worth it.
right. Missing school, that's all right. You
Dude,
get to,
I
like-
remember, dude, when Mass Effect 2 came
Oh,
out
man.
in 2009, 2010. Oh, man, Lloyd, I mean, dude, I was on, I was on until like 6 in the morning the next day. I'd start playing it it'd be like 12
I'd be
hours.
getting up for work, and you'd be like, hey, and I'd be like, oh.
Maybe
my
we're
gosh.
just getting older now. I mean, if you look at, think about it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, we are getting older, and as these games change, so I guess the replay values do for us. I mean, like I said, I game maybe 3 hours max. I can't do 4, 5, 6 hours. I don't know. Maybe when the next Deuces X comes out, I will.
Oh yeah.
I'll play the shit out of that one.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying now that I guess they are looking for an online manager for this. They trademarked a game called Deuces X, Rise of Mankind. Something with mankind. I think it's Rise Against Mankind, and they're looking to hire a online manager. So they're saying either
Sounds serious.
it might be an MMO type or maybe multiplayer aspect. A game like that, I don't think there should be multiplayer. That's strictly campaign single player experience right there.
Yeah.
I mean, a sidekick never hurts.
Listen, it's co-op.
Right.
I can do co-op. That'd be kind of cool.
I don't know about like massive multiplayer, but yeah, if there's just like normal multiplayer where you're, fighting each other, then that one it could be fine. Maybe.
Yeah.
It depends on what augmentations they restrict and allow for you.
Yeah. So, and it's funny. You guys ever try and go back play the old games? Like, have you tried to go back and play Mario Brothers?
Yes.
Well, that you.
I mean, speaking of another thing that I do miss is how I mean, I don't know. I'm probably saying this just like out the blue, but like they were really unforgiving. Those old games, like they would make you want to break your controller. Like
Yeah.
seriously.
I played Mega Man. I thought that was
No, because like
Yeah.
there wasn't any difficulty level, right? You couldn't be like, oh, let me play it on easy and get through this.
Yeah.
You had to play it
We were-
the way it was meant to be played, and if you couldn't beat that, you couldn't beat it.
I saw an episode on Angry Video Game Nerd, and I think it might have had to do with like one of the Castlevania games, like one of the first 3, and he went through the whole game, and he goes, "This is a good game, but it is hard as shit." He goes, "This game will, beat you down," and all the curse words he says, and he goes, "Let me check the difficulty," and it said very easy, and he goes, "That's very easy." Oh, he goes, "You got it," and there was no continues either.
Oh yeah.
So once and there was games that didn't have continues, man.
Yeah, one of the most recent games. It's kind of looks old schoolish because it's like 16-bit or whatever. But that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World,
Oh,
the comic book they made into that game, even that one, it has difficulties, but even the easiest one's still hard as shit. And that one doesn't have any continues. You can stop like halfway through the game, shut it off. When you come back, you're starting all the way at the beginning again.
Oh man.
oh, Strider's the new
It's just like the original Mario Brothers, right? Like you had to beat the entire game in one sitting, otherwise you gotta start at World 1.
Yep.
No one's got time for that.
No saves.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. There was actually, I think it was a Jurassic Park game that I played on Sega Genesis. What's that?
I'm about to say Super Nintendo because they probably made
I
a.
think it was a Jurassic Park game on Sega Genesis, or it might have been No, it wasn't Lost World.
That was real quick.
And that game was definitely hard, and there was literally no continues. That was a one sitting. There was no checkpoints. You couldn't even save the game. So you literally had to beat the game in one sitting.
Oh man.
If you didn't,
It's one of those hard games.
if you turned it off, then next you know you are starting all over again.
Do they think that the kids marketing these games for don't go to school?
Right.
Dude, no, exactly. I mean, there was like another
Right.
Angry Video Game Nerd said something like that. It was called McKids by McDonald's. It was made by McDonald's, and literally he goes, it was the puzzles and the game was extremely hard, and he goes, this game is marketed towards little kids. what kind of little kid is gonna be able to figure this stuff out? I mean, it's true because a lot of stuff is hard. But it's funny if you look at the games now. Even like my sister or another family member, they'll say, "How can you play this game? Like it's really hard." But then when you try and play an older game and it's beating you up, man, you're like, "This is crazy!
Like,
I can master Halo. Why can't I beat this 2-bit game?"
I've had to like call off school fake sick so many times in elementary school just so you could finish the damn game, and it's like
I did that for I think when I was in first grade. I was playing the Super Mario World that came out for Super Nintendo, and I was at the part where you finally beat Bowser, and I was late to school, and I was a kid, so I was emotional. So I was in tears because I couldn't finish that game. And well, the teacher had all the other kids and everything, doing their little activities and stuff. I had to draw a picture and write a little paper on why I was late to school. So I just like Bowser Castle. And,
No way.
yeah.
She was like, "That's legit."
It's one of the hardest games and probably one of the best games, man. Mario 64.
Yeah.
Really?
Dude,
Mario 64.
that game got hard and it was long. To get all 120 stars, you had to go through all the levels and then go through them again, and they were at an added difficulty. Man, that game, I never beat the game. I never got all 120 stars.
I beat that game one day before I went to school that day.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's disgusting.
jeez.
I was sitting there, swinging Bowser around by his tail.
Did you
doing
guys?
the bombs and yep.
Did you ever play Diddy Kong Racing?
I did that game. I thought was hard.
Mario.
I heard the end boss
Mario.
was extremely hard.
I didn't even finish the game. I was in the first world, and the hardest race I thought was the one where you're flying an airplane. You're racing a red dragon. As soon as I beat that, I thought the game was over. And then all of a sudden, Diddy Kong gets into a ship and goes into space. I'm like, there's another world? What is this?
That was one of the series of games I never really got into. The Donkey Kong. I played Donkey Kong 1 for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I barely remember it, but that was it. I never actually got into I never played the N64 or the game.
Country?
Yeah, I never played like the GameCube ones or anything like that.
That was like the one of the games I had for my Game Boy Pocket before the color came out.
Oh, Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country was the only Donkey Kong game that I've ever played.
For the one for Super Nintendo?
Right.
Yeah, that was one I played. Yeah, here's a horror story for you guys. So I was at my cousin's house, my cousin Alan, and he had Donkey Kong. Well, we were just playing around, and me and my fidgetiness was like, hey, what would happen if I hit delete on this game save of his grandma's, who had all the levels beat?
Oh my god.
So I hit delete, and it goes, are you sure? Yes or no? And I'm like, Alan, I was like, oh my god, I don't know what I was doing. I was just joking around. And I was like, what do we do? What do we do? And I don't know why we didn't go to no. And we hit.
Oh, man.
We hit yes. And all. That was horrible.
That's
You're getting choked.
I did that with Borderlands 2 on my 360. I was running out of space, so I have like multiple USB sticks plugged into the console. But I was trying to make room on one of them so I could put my gamer tag on there and take it over to a friend's house. And while moving and deleting data and stuff, I had the level 45 or 55, something like that. The Psycho Craig. Yeah, it's gone.
Oh.
man.
I had beat the game, and right after you beat the game, spoilers, there's like another like level 50 boss that you have to fight, and I was working on my way to beat that thing. But yeah,
Oh,
I'm
still
reluctant to
hurt.
start over.
He's
No,
over there rubbing his head. It hurt.
I know. Speaking of, we were talking about the controller. I've never experienced so much pain in my hands with a controller than the Dreamcast.
Really?
That analog with that plastic.
So, yeah,
With the
it had
plastic,
plastic spikes, so they would
Yeah.
stick in your thumbs.
Dude, because it was the analog that had the plastic rivets on it, and that thing would murder my thumb. I remember I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Dead or Alive 2 on it, and after like 20 minutes, I remember I was like, oh my god, like it was literally like all raw,
Oh.
and I literally had to put tape on it so I could keep on
You
playing.
can't do quarter circle back turns on that joystick, or you'll shred your fingerprint off.
That's how
You'll be unidentifiable at that point.
Yeah.
and my girlfriend, if we're playing Killer Instinct, she's a button masher. And the outer ring of the analog stick, it's got that what would you call that? Like
A rib? A ring?
yeah,
Rib?
that it's ribbed or whatever. Anyway, she'll be constantly just spinning the joystick, tapping all the buttons and everything. She'll be gripping the controller really tight, and she'll get blisters on both her thumbs and like two of her middle fingers. But
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
the one controller that was most painful for me that I can remember, given my age, is the first NES controller, that just rectangular
Yeah.
like thing that
Yeah,
would
the
dig into your
corners.
palms when it would get intense.
Oh,
Dude, even the directional pad
Oh
had
my
sharp.
God.
yeah.
Like, if
It's
you were-
like they didn't even sand that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I remember playing, especially when you're playing Mario and you just have your finger on that one side going, to the right
Yep.
all the time, and next you know you're like, oh my god! Like, I remember my sister and brother would be watching me play, and I'm like, I gotta take it right. I'm like, why? I'm like, 'cause my thumb
You have
is
like an
killing me.
indentation from the controller corner in your hand.
Yeah, you got an indentation in the corner of the controller. You got an indentation on your thumb, like a directional arrow.
Oh yeah.
You got
Right.
an arrow embedded in your thumb.
The arrows on the and the controller.
Oh, yeah.
I don't honestly. Since I never had a Super Nintendo, only the couple times at my cousin's house playing with the Super Nintendo. Was that comfortable or no?
Yeah, that one they rounded it out.
Yeah.
The D-pad though was still sharp as a knife,
Yeah.
but it had silver buttons. Everything else aside from the D-pad was
That was pretty
a
legit.
comfortable feel.
What other controllers? So there's Super Nintendo, and then so we had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, then so the N64 controller we talked about.
Pitchfork.
And what's funny is that analog for the N64 never rawed my fingers, and that was plastic.
The Sega controller was pretty comfortable
Sega.
for me. That was
Oh
great.
no
You
way,
know?
man! The Genesis it was like a circle, but it had the directional pad like implemented out. Like it was like a cross. It was like coming
Yeah.
out of the circle pad, and then on those diagonals was other arrows.
All right.
So
yeah.
like it incaved. It was all over the place.
It was
Yeah.
all over the place.
It's like, what is this? A circle or like an up and down, left and right controller? And then it had what, like 6 buttons?
Yeah.
A, B, C, then
ABC X or X Y.
1, 2. Oh, there was no 1, 2, 3.
I think so. I
thought it was
thought
ABC, 1, 2, 3.
X Y Z.
It might have been ABC X Y Z.
Unless it was like a different, like an off-brand controller or something like that.
PlayStation controller was. I've always liked that controller.
Yeah, that was like
From the DualShock 1 to 2 to 3. As a PS4 owner now, I do not like the PS4 controllers. It definitely is not comfortable. Xbox One, I didn't mind. I mean the Duke was definitely not. I had small hands, so that.
That thing was huge.
Baby hands.
Yeah. I didn't really like the controllers for the PlayStation 3. I think it was because the triggers would. It felt like your fingers would slide off, unless I'm confusing that with the PlayStation 4.
On the PS3,
Yeah.
they slide off the analog or the directional.
Off the triggers.
Oh, it was a
L2
PS3.
L2 and R2.
Yeah, those are the ones
They
because
had no frame.
yeah, they didn't. Yeah, it was just like a smooth surface, and when you pull them in as the triggers, then it would just slide off.
Right.
PS4, they actually put a little curve on it now, so it doesn't trip off.
I kind of like how the D-pads used to be like a circle, and the directionals would be kind of recessed into it. But
Yep.
you still had that button there you could press instead of pressing up and right or up and left or whatever simultaneously.
And then it said 360 controller. I was happy with. Everyone didn't like it, but I was happy with it. And the Xbox One controller, I also like it. And then the Dreamcast controller. Honestly, out of all the controllers that we've had these past generations, I think the Dreamcast controller and the Wii U controller are very similar, as in the way it's held. Like you kind of held it like
A
the
toaster.
I guess. Well, in a way, yeah. I guess you could say sort of.
Toaster.
Like the Dreamcast had like those weird like walls that you would grab on, but you were still kind of like holding it like this, like a scroll in a way.
Right.
And then the Wii U, yeah, it stretched out more,
Yeah.
but it still has those NKs right there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, speaking of the Dreamcast, though, like, the Dreamcast was ahead of its time, you know? Like, it had a shitty controller, but it was ahead of its time as far as it had the best graphics. You had online play, right?
yep.
And-
Phantasy Star Online, and some other ones.
Yeah.
I think
And I'm like,
I was watching.
why did it not do so well?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because I was on. If you go to YouTube, you can find it. But I was watching G4 TV used to have that show called G4 Icons, and they had the what do you call it? This show called G4 Icons, and one was about Sega, the Dreamcast, and they were talking about it had all the games, and what they said the whole time is the PS2 was just looming over the Dreamcast because there's talks about it coming out a year later, but it was selling.
Oh, not only that, though,
And they
they
said
had a
the
DVD
PS2
player.
came out, it played DVDs, and they said in Japan, DVDs had just catch on, and they said, and this was no joke, they literally said Matrix was so big in Japan that that's when you had people like were dressing up at it, and when PS2s came out, all these movie stores had PS2s in their display stores showing the Matrix being played. So in a way, it's kind of funny and ironic. PS2 got its market share because people were buying it because it was a cheap DVD player.
DVD player.
And then kind of in the beginning of the PS3 stage, that was the cheapest Blu-ray player at the time, and people were buying PS3s because do you guys remember?
And it just happens to
They were
play the
$1,000.
Yeah.
They were between $9 and $1,000 Blu-ray players. Now you can buy them for $80.
Yeah, cheap.
And so for $600, that was the cheapest Blu-ray player at the time, the PS3. So it was just kind of funny, PS2 kind of did that with DVDs, PS3 did with Blu-rays, but and that's of course the graphics looked a little better on the PS2 because a year later, but once that came out, and I remember what was it on the documentary, like interviewer had said he asked, I think it was some manager at Sega, and it was kind of sad how they said it.
Yeah,
He was just talking about, was like, so are you guys manufacturing them? And he said, we're not manufacturing them. And they said they had more Sega Dreamcasts in their warehouses than they have sold. That was bad.
Yeah.
And then I remember they announced it. And me, a year later, I purchased mine brand new at GameSpot, which used to be in West End. Did you remember that? Right across from on Ford Road. It was owned by the Asian guy.
Damn.
Well, it was called GameSpot, and he had a brand new Dreamcast in box still, $50. I bought that in Daytona, USA, and House of the Dead 1.
Daytona.
So, but no, Dreamcast was definitely a good system. Did you ever have one?
No, I played a Dreamcast at a buddy's house. The only game I really played on it though was Sonic.
See,
But-
if there's a fighting game on the Power Stone. That was you remember that game, Loyal? You don't remember Power Stone?
That was kind of like, was it like Smash Brothers, but for
In a way.
Dreamcast or something?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. I mean, there was you can get power ups and stuff. Yeah, that was an awesome game. If you like Smash Brothers, it was fun. They had Power Stone 1, then Power Stone 2. Then also that's when Dead or Alive got released on the Dreamcast, and then Dead or Alive 2 came out on the Dreamcast. Then they released, I think, later on Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore, which was the Dreamcast version on PS2.
I think Dead or Alive is a great game. Like, I think it's like my favorite fighting game because it had counters and all that stuff, high, low.
Game.
You know.
We were TP, GT, we were constantly playing Dead or Alive 3. Was it 3 or 4?
4?
Four.
Yeah, 3 was our original.
4 for 360.
Yep. Dude, we were playing that all the time.
That was fun.
That game, see, and that's where, when we kind of did our Killer Instinct review last week, I like Dead or Alive. I don't know. To me, it's very fast. You have to be spot on with the counters.
It has really nice mechanics to it. Like, there's a rhyme or
Yeah.
reason for everything. Where I was a huge Tekken fan, I love the way everything played out in that game, but then I started playing Dead or Alive, and you pick it up really quick.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's so smooth, for
Yeah.
sure.
very smooth. I mean, did you ever play the Dead or Alive, Jesse?
I played a couple Dead or Alives, a couple Tekkens and stuff, but it's like in the review, I could never really get the hang of those like I could with Street Fighter and now Killer Instinct, since the button combinations are very similar.
See, that's what's funny is, like, I like Killer Instinct and Street Fighter. To me, Street Fighter is too hard. I get my ass kicked every time I play Street Fighter. I'm
Right here.
I'm pressing.
I'm the same.
Like, So I'm like, I can't. I don't know. It's a lot simpler on Dead or Alive for me than, say, Street Fighter or even Marvel. Well, I like Marvel's Capcom, but that game gets hard too. At
Yeah,
times.
That's kind of like
Yeah.
Street Fighter.
What's that?
That's kind of like Street Fighter.
For the special moves, I know, but I mean, well, you're
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah.
But I don't know,
you
like,
got Akuma and Ryu in there, and stuff like that. But
You're right.
some of the other characters, they're
It's almost exactly like it's almost exactly like Street Fighter.
Street Fighter just, I don't know. I think there's more, half circles and this and that and Street Fighter, whereas with Marvel's Capcom, you can hit forward and X a whole bunch of times and he'll do the different,
well, yeah, you
moves.
can with Marvel vs. Capcom, you can set it to I think different play styles. You can have it to where you have a special attack button combination set to just one button or fewer buttons to make it easier.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think there was like when you first choose your character. I think before you do, they'll ask you if you want like normal or advanced or something like that.
Wow. Well, I do know, speaking of fighting games, they came out with that Street Fighter X Tekken.
Yeah.
And I know Capcom did say they are still working on the, what's that called? The reverse one. So either Street Fighter X Tekken, the Tekken X Street Fighter. They said they're making it still, and that's been like 3 years. But I guess they said they're working on, because Street Fighter X Tekken, it mostly plays like Street Fighter.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that I read or heard someone say that you can change the button mapping in there, so you can have the Street Fighter button combinations for the Tekken people, or you can have the Tekken button combinations.
See, I heard
for
that
Street
too,
Fighter.
unless they just changed
I
it
thought-
to separate games.
I thought that's what I thought. Well, I remember they showed a trailer for that, and I thought Street Fighter X Tekken was primary playing like Street Fighter, then Tekken X Street Fighter was playing primarily as Tekken. Because I mean, in my opinion, those are
two different.
two different fighting
Right.
styles.
Yeah.
That's why.
I think I played that game for a little while, and Street Fighter, I played like normal. I think the Tekken, I think they had, you could set it to Street Fighter style, Tekken style, or each character from their respective game would have their respective
Play styles.
Yeah, play styles and button combinations. I couldn't get the hang of the Tekken ones.
That's why when Heather said she could play Tekken,
I love Tekken.
dude, that game's hard. I would say that'd be harder to play than Street Fighter for me, because I just button mash like crazy and.
Because it's easy for me because I grew up playing that from like the PlayStation 1. It was all Tekken all day long, every day.
Yeah, I played that one when my
All day.
PlayStation. I'd play that one. I'd mostly play as King and just do like his dive roll and try and
Just
beat the
dive
people
roll.
that way. But
What was that ginormous dragon in Tekken for the PlayStation? He was like in one or I think two.
Was it
Or,
like a giant gargoyle?
yeah, he looked like a giant gargoyle. It looked like honestly, he looked like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
And he had wings.
yeah,
Yeah.
gosh.
I
He was like
remember
the
that
last one boss. I can't remember his name, but he really wasn't as hard as some of the newer ones.
I remember I used to pick him because he did a roar, and I thought I was badass because I
Oh,
got to
yeah.
fight people and just do the roar and try and
Yeah,
scare them.
that's why I choose Sid Wolf and Killer Instinct. Before I begin, I'll do his taunt and he'll roar. Then I'll do his attack where he just like runs at the person and either claws him in the face or he'll slide between their legs, and it's all
Yeah.
about feeling like a badass.
I remember one of my moments from a game I used to play all the time was Star Tropics for the Nintendo.
Oh,
I bought it for the Wii Virtual Console.
yeah.
And you were just this kid going to save your uncle, and your only
It was
weapon,
ridiculous.
was a yo-yo. And I think you could pick up like a boomerang or something like that. And I remember, you can save it. You can choose to save it or not. And I was playing it like crazy on the Nintendo. Well, I was dumb and I never saved it. And I got halfway through.
Oh, man.
In a 2-day setting. I didn't turn the console off, the Nintendo off, and I remember I came downstairs and it was off, so I freaked out, and my mom told me, well, it was on, so I turned it off for you.
Oh.
All that.
That's
Um,
doing you a favor.
Parents just never understand.
Well, and this is another thing. I remember when 360, talking about destruction, man. When the 360 first came out, I remember I had some friends over and we were playing Halo. It might have been Halo 3. And I remember we're sitting in my basement. My parents were just playing. And all of a sudden, my buddy was like, hey, dude, what's on fire? And I was like, what? And I look on the counter, and I guess my mom, I lit a candle down there, and she didn't see that my cord to my headset was right there.
Oh.
And that cord caught on fire.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, no! So I went out and bought another one.
What?
I know some people at the original
Long story short.
that one would get pretty hot.
They had to change the power cords from it.
Right. There was someone I was going to school with. She had one, and she had it sitting, just on the floor on the carpet.
Ooh.
And
Oh.
it ended up
Burning the carpet?
I don't think it burned the carpet, but it just got hot to where it destroyed the console because it wasn't properly ventilated.
Wow. No, I remember they did a recall on the power cords, and because I think it was just a straight regular one cord into the Xbox, and then just a regular 2-cord outlet, and then I think near the no power brick, and near the end life cycle of the Xbox, they were sending out the new power cords, which was it was like those squares. It was like a cord into the Xbox. Then it looks like a power brick that plugged into the wall.
I hate those power bricks.
I know, that's honestly. I mean, I'm just curious how Microsoft.
I said, like, you think they would stress test these things, like them through their paces to make sure that they're actually safe for people to use and handle. It's like, shit.
Oh, I know.
You can't have a fire in your house due to your game.
Exactly. That's how I mean, for one, you would think Microsoft, if Sony can do it, I mean, that's one, I guess, a little pet peeve. Why they got to have power bricks? I mean, they have them
with how technology is advancing now, and that they could make a strong enough cable that can just be, one length, not have to have two halves to it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, like PS4, they can do without a power brick, and that's smaller than the Xbox One.
Some of the newer,
but I do hear the PS4 does overheat, though.
Some of the newer PCs now don't even
Didn't the
have
power?
bricks, so it's like, can we move on?
Really?
Yeah, they don't have power bricks, some of the new ones.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
Mhm.
Even laptops. My laptop charger. Look at this thing.
Didn't the power brick?
I have a power brick right here. I mean, can't I just plug it in the wall and let it charge?
Power brick on the 360 have its own fan inside of it also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the Xbox One does. If you put your ear near it, even the 360, you can hear like a little wind
You
blowing.
can hear the ocean.
So, but no, that's it. So, you guys got any other old funny game memories?
Speaking of old games, though, I know we just restarted my GameCube for Animal Crossing.
Oh,
I will admit, I'm a time warper. So
cheater!
I know. I'll write down what day and year I played and then just time warp back. I know. I'm guilty. It's horrible.
And just to say, this hurt my feelings when she turned this
My
on.
animal people were so pissed when I came back. They're like, what is it, 64 months?
No, 666 days.
It was short story. It was 5 years since I played this thing. I had weeds, cockroaches. Everyone had moved out. Some people who had stayed were super angry. Like it was
like
horrible.
they literally put a kibosh on her life. Like because I was like, well, let's just put it in and see. And she goes, well, okay. So and I'm walking
I didn't
around.
want to.
And all these people are like, where have you been? It's been 660 something days or months. 66 months.
Yeah, it was like 66 months.
And then I was like, well, what is it? So we did the math, and it was 5 years.
Yeah, I saw a comic strip on Dorkly, that same thing. Girl's like, I haven't played this in a while. Let's pop it in and see how everything's going. She turns it on, and you just see, like, red, horrid, like, text. Like, why? Help me! She closed it, and she's got, like, a horrified look on her face.
But that was bad. They were telling her, like, where you been? We thought you moved away. And then, like, 2 of her in-game friends moved or was about to move. And Heather was like, oh, my God.
I had, like, 1 birthday card someone sent me. I'm like, that's harsh, guys.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
So, what about you, Jesse? Any last funny memories or memorable moments?
One thing I was thinking about on the way here that I miss about games is, like, cheat codes.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, I miss cheat codes, but I know now if you have to enter them in manually, it restricts you from getting achievements like in Grand Theft Auto.
So Grand Theft Auto 5 still has cheat
Saints
codes?
Row.
Yeah, like Grand Theft Auto 4, that one, as soon as you put them in, it would be saved to your character's cell phone and have a quick menu. But with 5, yeah, you got to enter them in manually like you did for Grand Theft Auto 3, which after getting used to the cell phone and doing it quick like that, now I gotta memorize shit.
See, that's cool. I don't mind that. I think every game, I knew Crackdown had it and some other games. I think every game should have cheat codes just for fun. But like you said, disable the achievements so nobody can
Right.
cheat. I mean, there's a couple times I want to, like, with Resident Evil 5 and 6, you literally had to gain up points to
Unlock the weapons.
unlock unlimited weapons and stuff like that. And just let me do God mode, man, just so I can have a little bit of fun.
I want a rocket launcher out the door.
I was playing
What?
I was playing Saints Row though, the first one on 360. I was playing Saints Row, the first one on 360, and I put in a cheat code so that my car would have like infinite mass, so I could just ram through traffic and nothing would happen to my car. And but then after I did that, for some reason, like I would try and load the game so I could start getting achievements again, and like I could no longer get achievements like ever, even though I like took the code off and everything. I still couldn't get achievements for some reason.
For that game at all, it wouldn't let you?
Correct. It
Whoa.
sucked.
Yeah. Another thing I was thinking about.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed.
Oh,
But I had already beat the game at that point, so it was okay.
Oh, okay.
and I miss how games had like a lot of unlockables. We have downloadable content to get this, that, and the other thing.
Yep.
It'd be nice if you could have downloadable content that allowed you to have more unlockables. You don't just pay money to get new stuff. You have to actually go out and try and
Right.
gain it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So what about you, Loyal? Any last memories?
No. No more fond memories. I mean, I really liked Donkey Kong 64. That was a really fun game. I never got to beat it though.
Didn't RAM?
I don't know. I just got into some other.
You needed that RAM booster to play that, didn't you?
What was that?
The graphics booster, that little red chip that you put in the top. Didn't you need that to play?
Donkey Kong 64?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You needed it for that and for Perfect Dark.
Yep.
To play the game fully. So.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
remember it? Look at his face.
No. No.
So, well, you guys, can't believe it's already been an hour.
That's the last
Definitely fun.
Yeah.
Talking about some old times, just having a little nice, calm, easy Sunday here. So, all right, well, we'll go ahead. That's it for today. Stay tuned with us on Wednesday. I believe Stinger will be doing his review for Tomb Raider. We'll keep you guys updated on that if we go through it, and then we'll finish the Resident Evil franchise reviews also after that. Other than that, though, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys like what we're doing, we say we do it for you. Go ahead, rate the video, subscribe to our page, and write in the comments if you guys have any suggestions or anything you'd like us to talk about. Other than that, though,
if you have any stories that you would like to share, comment, rate, subscribe, that'd be great. Definitely.
And we'll be back with you guys next Sunday with our regular news informatory. I tried to say that. Informatory. So
it was good.
All right, then, you guys. This is Mason, a.k.a. Sinar212.
Yo, this is Stan, a.k.a. Loyal Valor.
See you guys. Siren
Signing off.
7.
This is Jesse, aka Nostos Algos 312. Take it easy.
All right, guys. You know what Generation Gamer says. Game on.